Hey folks, Craig Danger, vinyl record player. Ho! Here we are, 5 underrated debut LPs from 1973. I'm gonna tell you this wasn't easy, straight off the hop. Not a lot of underrated debut LPs. If you recognize the artist, then frankly, as an example, Queen, nobody underrates Queen's first album. But there were also a lot of debut LPs by frankly artists I've never even heard of. But I managed to go in the collection, pull out 5 choice, dare I say classic, underrated LPs from 1973. So if I were you, I'd buckle up. Welcome back. So we're talking about debut LPs, underrated ones from 1973. I'm just going to cut right into it with, how about this big dog right here? How about the Ozark Mountain Daredevils? That's right, not probably one that you would have thought, oh yes, this is definitely one of the best debut LPs of 1970. You're wrong man. This actually is a very, very fun, good album. You can see the Daredevils on the back themselves. Band originally from Springfield, Missouri, as a matter of fact. Really fun sort of country rock, sort of country pop. Big hit on this one, which I think went to about number 25 on the Billboard, was, of course, If You Want to Get to Heaven, kind of a rockin' song. If you want to get to heaven, you got to raise a little hell. Which, I mean, who doesn't love that sentiment? But this, of course, their first LP, their sort of biggest LP would be I believe it's called the Car Over the Lake LP. My dad actually had that album. Fantastic cover. They did, their big hit on that one was Jackie Blue. But this one, actually cover to cover, is a really fun album. I'm not sure I would call it a rockin' country rock LP like a Manassas. It's not like that. It's more of a, I would say, country rock, maybe country pop. On the other hand, I don't want to completely call it pop either. But basically, it's really fun. A lot of good harmonica on this. A lot of good sort of twanging. Very good sort of country rock LP. And yeah, no, a lot of players. These guys basically released, I think, about 6 or 7 more albums. As a matter of fact, they just apparently retired from touring. So they had been on the oldies circuit for quite a while. But yeah, really fun album. The debut self-titled LP from the Ozark Mountain Daredevils, an underrated LP of 1973. What's coming up next? Well, first off, I just want to thank everybody for watching this series and liking and subscribing and commenting. You people are all fabulous. You're goddamn fabulous. I love you. Okay, maybe that's a little bit strong. But again, I really appreciate all the comments. It's been fun chatting back and forth with all the folks. But you know what? Enough of that. Let's talk about, how about when a group kind of breaks up, or rather, the lead singer leaves, and then the group continues. So what I'm going to do here is a little bit of a battle, actually. What we've got here is The Miracles. Without Smokey, Renaissance. I kind of almost would consider this a debut album because, frankly, Smokey is his own man. And basically, he had apparently been looking to quit The Miracles since about 1969. Little problem, though. How about Tears of a Clown, which basically goes to number 1 in the United Kingdom and probably at least top 20, maybe top 10 in the United States on the Billboard. Basically, at that point, Smokey and the Miracles, everything they release turns to gold. At least going top 20 pop, sometimes top 10 R&B, etc., etc. Finally, in 72, he retires for a year to become the vice president, one of the vice presidents at Motown at the time. A gentleman named Eddie Griffin joins the Miracles, and basically, I gotta be real, sounds a whole lot like Smokey. And you know what? They released this album, Renaissance, which is a banger. Really good album. You know what? I went ahead and I listened to this, and oh, what else did I listen to? I listened to this. How about, oh, somebody didn't like Retirement. Somebody didn't like Retirement. Same year, 1973. Smokey Robinson releases what? How about Smokey? And produced by who? Oh yes. If that isn't Willie Hutch, I don't know, friends, who that is. It's Willie Hutch. is what I'm saying. You know what? This album, it's okay. It's a start for Smokey. This is basically him writing songs, and of course, this is the Motown staff writing songs. And again, comparing the two, I just feel like honestly, there's just not much of a comparison. This is just a superior album. This also, a couple of tracks produced by Willie Hutch. But Smokey comes back out of retirement, records this album, but again, this one is, in my opinion, by far the superior album. Great songs cover to cover, a lot of mid-tempo stuff. My issue with Smokey is just a lot of ballads. A lot of ballads. Like, I don't mind a ballad. Let's calm down on the ballads, though, Smokey. And you know what? He never really did. I think around 75, he invented basically a genre of music. Practically invented it. Let's be real. Called The Quiet Storm, which, I mean, I'm not the giantest fan of. But anyway, if you see this one, The Miracles Renaissance, let me tell you, it takes some listens, but really, really good stuff. And again, you would think it was Smokey in The Miracles. Eddie Griffin, very, very similar tones, but of course, he is not the songwriter that Smokey is. So in the end, in a Smokey versus his Miracles, you got to give it to The Miracles, as an underrated and actually excellent debut LP with Eddie Griffin as the lead singer from 1973. Now this one, nobody's going to be saying, "Oh yes, of course I have that album." I mean, of course I have Barnaby Bye's "Room to Grow." Oh, and you're thinking, yes, are they wearing giant clothing on the cover? Yes, yeah, they are. It's a terrible cover. If anyone asks you, "Hey, how come this didn't sell a bunch of records?" Well, look at this cover. I mean, this is good-looking dudes. I mean, how 1973 are these dudes? Barnaby Bye, basically, they're from New York. A couple players from the old Blues Magoos are in here, along with the Alessi brothers. Gentlemen, I believe, this gentleman and this gentleman. Basically, they're twins, real handsome guys. They kind of cause a stir. They're signed by who? How about Ahmet Ertegun of Atlantic Records? He even produces this album. And you're thinking to yourself, Barnaby Bye, well, that's the worst cover ever. I've never heard of this band. Well, let me tell you this. If you are a fan of Queen, or if you are a fan of the Beatles, if you're a fan of the odd concept of Queen doing the Beatles, my friends, Barnaby Bye's Room to Grow, their debut from 1973, produced by Ahmet Ertegun. What? Again, sold like no copies. Fantastic album. I just listened to this last night. It's a really good album. I'm sure it's probably available on the streaming, but again, it's so obscure that I'm not sure that it is. I frankly just picked this up in the dollar bin. I think I got it for like half price, like 50 cents for this record. Woo! What a great buy, though. Really kind of power poppy, but again, you'd be stunned at how Queen-like this is. More later Queen, more of the like very big harmonies, fantastic harmonizing on this. And yeah, just frankly, a pretty rockin' record. Super surprising. But again, Barnaby Bye, Room to Grow. This is one, if you do catch it, this again may qualify as one of the worst album covers ever. I mean, Room to Grow, because their clothes are big. Come on. Terrible. But, wow, what an album, friends. Barnaby Bye's Room to Grow. A deeply underrated, and frankly, I don't know who bought this, album from 1973. Barnaby Bye, Room to Grow. Got to go to Leroy Hudson. And you're asking yourself, hey, Craig Danger, who is Leroy Hudson? Well, Leroy Hudson basically replaced Curtis Mayfield in The Impressions. As basically he was about 3 months out of college. He replaces Curtis Mayfield, legend that he is, in The Impressions. Records with them for 2 albums. And then you know what? He puts out his debut album. It's fully formed. Basically, almost every song is written by him, including his legendary track, So In Love With You. Woo! What a great song. But frankly, this album is really fully formed and way too fantastic for a guy who was as young as he was. But you know what? This is definitely worth a pickup. This is not an original. This is on the Curtum label, of course, which of course is Curtis Mayfield's label. And cover to cover, this is a fantastic soul album. There's some great upbeat moments, so there's some great ballads, and I'm not a ballad guy, but this is, in my opinion, after this he did another 7 albums. In my opinion, this though is still his best. Leroy Hudson, Love Oh Love from 1973, his debut after, of course, 2 albums as the lead singer of the Impressions, then a kind of a fading Impressions, as Curtis Mayfield was obviously the fuel underneath the fire that was the Impressions. But Leroy Hudson, Love Oh Love. This one is available a lot on the repress. If you're going to find an original copy, good luck. Good luck, friends. And we'll finish this 5 underrated LPs of 1973 with, how about Jackie Moore, Sweet Charlie Babe? This is kind of an album, but also kind of a compilation of her earlier hits on Atlantic label. And yeah, you know what? This is a very fun and fantastic album. Sweet Charlie Babe, the title track is fantastic. It's a great song written by Bunny Siegler, who of course is famous for working with the Philadelphia International label, Gamble and Huff, called If on this one. But cover to cover, this is actually a really fun album. She did not have a lot of success post this album. She did a couple of disco albums kind of in the mid-70s, and then that was kind of it. But later on, of course, in Britain, as often was the case, they pulled out a lot of her music for northern soul dance floors, and as they should have. This is, in my opinion, a hugely underrated LP. In fact, at the end of this video, I'm going to put up, I believe, a cut from one of my first videos, going back to 2022, where I talk about Sweet Charlie Babe. You're not going to recognize this Danger. This is a different Craig Danger. But you know what? I figured, what the hell? This was indeed one of the first records that I talked about on the internet. So fun stuff. But again, Jackie Moore, Sweet Charlie Babe, 1973, great debut, great singer, and really this actually would turn out to be her best album as well. So yeah. So hey friends, if you're still here, like, subscribe, send me a comment. What do you like from 73 in terms of debuts? Honestly, that's not just a comment thing, that's like, I'm really curious, because like I said, this was a tough year. I gotta be frank, I don't know how easy 74 is gonna be either. The collection is starting to get a little rough in terms of debut LPs, but I put these 5 up against any 5 from 1973. So again, thank you for watching. Appreciate all of you. Everyone's been really, really cool. So yeah, I'm gonna just have to go ahead and see you on the next one. Basically, like, the whole album is absolutely fantastic. I was really shocked because, you got your classics, you got your Aretha, your Candy Staten, your Gladys, etc., etc. But I'd never heard of Jackie Moore until about this year, and I'm basically blown away.